Welcome to a new edition of the Gerety Talks. Today we are having a special edition to chat with the winner of the new director Lotus Gold winner from Adfest 2024. The new director Lotus awards up upcoming new directors to give them exposure to the creative community and help launch their directorial careers. Arundhati Tandur, director at Finch production company from Australia, was the winner with the campaign I'm Dying Inside for the brand Modi Body. And she's here with us today. Congratulations and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So let's start by a little introduction. Tell us a little bit more about where you come from, what you do, and your work.
So I started in, the advertising industry maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. I kind of came up as a DA, so I was a director's assistant for a long time, including at Finch as well, where I'm signed currently, which has been a pretty, I wouldn't say unique path, but it's been really useful for me because I've come up under a lot of other directors and have been able to learn alongside them. So that's been my history on the way to being a director at Finch. And in that period of time, it's been a lot of making documentaries, music videos, short films, and just kind of experimenting with a bit of everything. And then working on a bit more ad work in the last 2 years, I'd say. And so that's definitely been the bigger part of my output lately, which has been great.
And what were your expectations when entering the festival? What did you want to achieve?
For Adfest?
Yes.
I think like with any of the festivals that we entered, I was not anticipating how well Modi Body would do. So I still think like reviewing all the positive reception it's had, it's been quite affirming and great. Like it's a really pleasant surprise. I really was not expecting to win Best Director. So it was a pleasant shock. So especially on an international stage. And I really appreciate how much people enjoyed it, and especially the casting aspect, which I know people really took to, and it was recognized quite well locally and internationally. So and that was a very involved process for me. So it makes me think, okay, I did a good job there. We all did. It wasn't just me, but it's been honestly a whirlwind, and I'm really, really grateful and just so happy to have done that project. It was really eye-opening, and it was just not like a typical kind of TVC. So it kind of felt like we were making our own rules on how to approach it. So it was really rewarding.
So we're getting curious about it. So let's have a look at the campaign, and then we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
How's your uterus? It's like a 5.
Mi sienti suave, mi sento infrada.
I think they're right about boyfriend there. Like, I've been single for 2 weeks and my skin has never looked better. I need to look into this bisexual theory.
It's not a theory, Kira. You're bi. Ooh, thank you. Oh, okay.
Hey, someone heard you were having an endo flare-up and they want to say hi.
Oh my god, Andy, no.
No, Cleo, it's me, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
I just wanted to say, I think you're doing a great job. I got my period.
That's actually so divine feminine of us to like sync up.
right?
It's a bloodbath in here. Not literally. Oh my god, do you remember?
Bon appetit. Oh, the gravy.
Big Aquarius energy.
Andy, sorry, but you still owe me money for the power bill.
Hey, do you need to borrow some money?
No, I have a plan. And it's so crazy, it just might work.
We are out of oat milk.
Interesting. Let's put a pin in that. We'll circle back later.
Okay, so?
They're interviewing for some corporate job. They've gone full method.
Yes, look, I'm interviewing for a data entry position at a large corporation, and whilst it's against every creative bone in my body, we need to make rent. So I'm going to look at it as a character study. God, I could never do a 9 to 5.
Oh, you're gooey, babe.
Yeah, these kids threw eggs at me and chanted, "Dance, egg fairy, dance!" I don't have the bandwidth to take that on, but I do appreciate you owning the project. Ping me if you need. Ping me if you need. Ping me if you need. Ping me if you need.
How you feeling, boss?
Bloating metrics are up this quarter, but leaks are down, and in this economy, you got to celebrate all the wins.
Ooh, the hanged man.
Slay.
Yeah, but he's upside down.
So he's standing?
No.
The girls make a mean cuppa in our office. Not that you can say that these days. You can't say anything these days.
Who are you talking to?
I'm gonna kill this interview. So bloated.
Andy, tell us about a challenging situation you've been in.
Well, at my last job... I do look good in coral, though.
I've got a date.
Hey. Why?
Oh, hooked up with this guy and got my period.
So you brought his bedhead home?
Yeah, I had to clean it.
How'd you get your period on there?
We boned. The normal way, nothing fancy.
Does he know you have that?
Oh no, he was in the shower. I would feel weird asking.
Here, take these, they're yours.
Thanks. Hey, I'm free bleeding over here!
Removing blood can be a fairly simple process. You really only need vinegar and baking soda. You want to let the mixture sit and foam on the stain. Do not scrub it. I learnt this the hard way and I scrubbed it and then it got worse and I basically just had to throw the couch out.
Reupholstering always works with darker fabrics.
Some people compare macrame with crochet, but it's so much more than that, right?
What's up, guys? It's Skeezy Geezy. Fit check for my boy King Henry VIII. First up, beheading Anne Boleyn. Yo, no cap, these panelists go hard. That's fire, dude.
What is that?
Oh, so what I was thinking, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just trying to sync up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, cool. So, I don't know.
Maddie? Huh? I think you're getting love bombed. Keep the bedhead, text me. Nick.
How does he know where I live?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to be gay.
Listen again.
Can't wait to take you. It's super fancy. Food's amazing.
Okay, so does that mean that I should offer to pay or that she will pay?
I think you're a sugar baby.
No.
Oh my god, we're rich.
Sugar lady, sugar mama, you're my baby. Ain't no drama. LV Gucci on your feet.
Ooh, yes, very sapphic.
Period. I just got my period. Should I cancel?
Don't be ridiculous.
Jeans? Do I?
Skirts.
Okay.
Wait, is this a time lapse? Let's do shop!
Hi, is this for Kira?
Stop!
Oh, you.
Can I borrow that? Can I borrow that towel?
Go.
You dirty dog.
All right, shut up.
That date is gonna last 3 days, and she'll be moving in next month. Cheaper rent.
Sugar lady, sugar mama.
$150 or best offer.
I think our neighbour's stealing my valuables.
What valuables?
No, my underwear.
Oh, underwear time. Jumpies. It's really good.
I don't get why we had to invite him over. Yeah, and it's like, if he did take the undies, just pay us back.
Yeah.
So, I notice you live alone.
Yeah, well, when we can be alone, we can be with others without using them as a means of escape. Just something I like to say sometimes. That actually wasn't me. It was about...
Bell hooks. Yeah.
Any bets he's like sizing up the window so he can peek through later tonight?
Like a bucket hat panty perv.
Please don't say panties. Ugh. Ew. Oh my god.
Like, just get gelato.
Yeah. So I just think as women, we deal with so much pain, but we're also out here keeping it all hidden, you know?
Yeah. I think that starts with us, sharing.
Yeah. Well, see you around.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
What the hell was that all about? Did he take them?
Well, I don't think he did. That man has layers.
They can do that? Are you guys still freaking out over the neighbour?
Maddie, why are you wearing those?
Huh? I mean, they're comfortable, they're good for the environment, good for my heavy flow. I mean, why do we do anything?
Those are my period undies.
Ours?
No, we don't share period underwear.
Or any underwear.
The panty perv was us all along.
Previously on Dilf Island.
Ladies, the competition is getting hot.
Okay, first thing I get kind of slapped.
So this 5 TikTok series explores a range of modern period experiences with honesty and humor, following four housemates as they navigate the trials and tribulations of young adult life on your period. Tell us about how the idea for the campaign came to life.
So it came through Howardson and Co. In Sydney. The creative team, Ellie and Katie Hulton, they had come up with the idea with Modibody. They presented us with essentially, we're not going to do a typical ad, it's going to be a TikTok series. So I think kind of from the get-go, a really strong approach on paper from the agency creatives themselves was to, you're talking to a Gen Z audience, and the idea was to meet them where they're at. And I think a lot of Gen Z we found, and this is the thought we had going into the project, was that they don't respond well to advertising. They don't like knowing that I'm being sold something, and they like to exist online. Yeah, they're pretty like stubborn about that. So they like to exist online purely for entertainment. And I think it was a really bold choice for Modibody and for the agency to come up with this approach and not do a typical ad. And clearly we're seeing like the fruits of that in the year that's passed. So they came up to us with pretty much the same kind of structure we ended up creating, and just kind of an initial kind of indicative idea of what these scripts could be. But the whole process, we treated it like an actual TV series or an actual scripted series. And we went into a writer's room. We leaned on actual TV writers who had worked on a Netflix series in Australia in the past. And we had kind of written the characters to the cast. We actually had the cast in mind already, and we had locked them in and kind of wrote to that, because they all had a really, really distinctly different personalities and creative backgrounds. And we kind of wrote the stories according to that, but always keeping in mind the brand and what Modibody was there to do in the story, which was, we're exploring these problems that Gen Z people have, the typical problems like paying too much rent, or like dating problems, and just the general drama of living in a share house when you're that young. And the solution was always kind of Modibody, but we weren't being too heavy-handed with it, and it was always kind of character focused. And I think that worked really well because yeah, I mean, the main target audience, young girls, really liked all the characters we kind of created. So it was always very story and humor focused first, and then the product secondary. But in terms of what that meant for the actual client and their product, that ended up being a really good approach, because the case study, I think it was, brand awareness went up by 75%.
Oh, wow.
So it was, yeah. So yeah, it was, I think, good. It was a good example for being a bit, for brands at least, and agencies being a bit out of the box and taking a risk in how they relate to an audience and how they might tell a story with the product in mind. Yeah.
And you mentioned something about the casting earlier when you talk about the feedback from the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the casting was a really fun process. I mean, usually with commercial work, you'll kind of go through a casting director, and because the amount of work we were making, you know, we were not really shooting like a 60-second spot. We were shooting about like 6 to 8 minutes a day over 2 days. So it was a lot to get through. And so I think the budget was something we had to try and work in. And it's something as small as like, there's no budget for casting, actually ended up working to our advantage. And we had to kind of think outside the box and approach it in our own way. And for me, that meant leaning on my existing network of people that I know. There's a lot of amazing talent in Sydney and, well, all of Australia, I'd say. But yeah, I found people that I had been meaning to work with, and I thought they'd fit that brief perfectly. And so, yeah, I just honestly ended up finding a few different kinds of people. We had people who were influencers and worked in like stand-up comedy and musical theater, and then we had a person who was a drag king and a comedian and a stage performer, one person who was probably theater trained at NIDA, and then another person who actually had no acting experience, but their background was in video art, and they'd gone to VCA and they used to make pretty lo-fi kind of films themselves. And so really eclectic mix of people, different kind of training, some no training at all, but it made for a really good ensemble of people. And yeah, I think initially I think they wanted to kind of use a lot of influencers to be able to lean on their platform to have even more outreach for when we released the films. But we did end up using Samantha Andrew, who was really great to work with and really talented. And that was even a careful selection process, because it wasn't just trying to find someone with enough followers. They really needed to nail the performance elements, because it's comedy and performance. So there's a lot hinging on that. And luckily she's a comedian. She's really funny online. Her following is really based on her speaking about a lot of things, creating songs, touring. And so yeah, she was kind of perfect for that.
And I read the shooting was done in only 2 days. How did you manage? Is there any anecdote or behind the scenes that you would like to tell us about?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it was because I really wanted to have rehearsal time with everyone. And thank God we did, because we spent 2 full days just like back-to-back rehearsing every single script for each episode. And I think that really got everyone in a flow. And it was great, because it's one thing to see something on paper, and you usually don't get rehearsal time on a typical ad. So being able to scrutinize every bit and being meticulous about this is not really working, workshopping the funniest bits really worked to our advantage. And for me as well, just knowing exactly what we needed when we went into the shoot day. We actually captured so much on the day, not just for the episodes. There was a whole BTS crew as well. So for each episode that rolled out, there was about 4 bits of BTS content for TikTok. So there was a lot of things we were rolling out. And one of the things we wanted to get was a blooper reel, but the cast had done so well and we rehearsed everything so well that there was no actual bloopers, which is great for us. But we didn't end up getting bloopers, but we got a whole bunch of other content anyway. And the cast worked really hard to be able to, when they were not shooting, they were off doing BTS content with the other crew. So it was quite crazy in that way, but we managed to get it done in time. And I think a lot of that was being fully prepped. And I worked with a really amazing DOP, Tom Black, who's now living in Paris, actually. So yeah, and I think I was really even selective about the crew I worked with, because I think Tom was really good because he's done a lot of music videos and he's come from music video world, and he's worked on multiple different things, and really talented. And so I think there's a certain kind of agility and being able to be nimble and flexible that you just come up with a shorthand by the time you're on set that you can work through it really fast. And so even if he didn't have that background, though, I think it was just, we were a really good team, making sure we were creatively aligned and just getting exactly what we needed for coverage. Yeah, I think it was. Does that answer your question? I'm so sorry.
Yes, yes.
I got off the rails.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and we somehow managed it. It was because it was everyone's effort, you know, and it's because we had that rehearsal time, which you usually wouldn't have.
And what does this recognition mean to you?
It's a bit surreal, especially because it was so fast. Like, I mean, it does feel like a long time ago that we made it. I think it's always a bit, in a really good way, in just a bit surprising, especially when people like to hear about the process, because I think sometimes directing or just doing things, directing, I'd say, is very insular sometimes. You're just in your room doing your little storyboards and watching casting tapes for hours, and then you make it and then it's out and then it's okay. But I think Modibody was really special because of the format, really. And I think, I was, again, like I was saying, wasn't expecting how good of a response we'd get from it, especially with like young girls that I'd see out or interact with, would have seen it, and they were really, they felt seen and heard, and that's what you want as a filmmaker. So I think people like yourself, people internationally, like with, I guess, the award seasons, getting that recognition means a lot. I'm not sure how else to articulate it. It's just very affirming. Yeah. And I think
did
a
you
lot of
always no, did you always know you wanted to be in film making and production, or?
Yeah. I've been pretty like what's the word, tunnel vision about filmmaking. I think there was a brief period of time. No, actually, I did want to be an actor for a while.
Okay.
And then I think that was right before I left high school. It was because I did drama and I loved it. And my family are all performers as well, so that was naturally something I was drawn to. But before I considered directing, it was I've always really liked filmmaking. I've been obsessed with films and just stories in general. So I think just being behind the camera is just a different aspect of that. But I think I'm not too disappointed about not being an actor, because I think I found something I like much more. So yeah, I'd say directing's definitely always been, and writing, just storytelling's always been on the cards for me.
And this was your first ever commercial work as a director, and the series has amassed over 12 million TikTok views. That was like, when I looked at the stats, maybe it's more now. So what's next after that?
Oh, that's so nice. You sometimes that's really sweet. It is, actually. I didn't really think about that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
But it's a good thing, right?
I mean, I've been doing a lot of ad work. I think since then it's been like a year. I've done like some really wonderful campaigns for IKEA and Pet Barn and Forex. So it's been really wonderful just seeing the variety of different scripts I can, brands and agencies I can work with, following Modibody. So I feel like it's, I think at the time it was a very daunting thing to take on such a big project, because it was a lot of work. Like we were saying, we're shooting a lot in a day and you're working with very little. But I think it was because it did so well. I'm just always thinking about all the lessons I learned then, and because it was kind of making up your own rules and just trusting your own process, because everyone's just got a different process. Just understanding like, okay, these things really worked, and just letting that carry through to all the other work I do following that. So yeah, I mean, it's just being able to work more with really talented people. I think my favorite part of a lot of the work I do is casting. So I think actors are amazing. So just being able to work with a variety of them in whatever context is a really, a part of the process I look forward to often.
And a last question to wrap up: where do you think the industry is heading towards, and where do you wish it was heading towards if it doesn't coincide?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think about this for a sec. I think, I mean, not speaking directly about Modibody, but I think being open to different formats or different approaches to brands, because I think if we're thinking about like online spaces, I was talking to a friend about this, but no one really watches things on their TV sets anymore. When I was growing up, we were all growing up, we're watching TV, you'd see an ad break, you see an ad on TV, and then you're back to it. But no one does that anymore. More often than not, the younger generations don't really remember television ads. So I think when people are going online and consuming a lot online, there's actual like influencers. These are the people that are kind of selling you those things. And so I think if we're inspecting that, we should be able to adapt to everyone's kind of consumer needs, because if they're not getting it through ads, it's I guess just trying to rethink where they might get it from, and the way we present them these products or ideas or whatever it is that we're trying to share. And I think there's a lot to say for platforms like TikTok, because Gen Z are like I'd say the biggest consumers, like the biggest demographic of consumers in the world. So I think paying attention to what they're and it's not just in terms of what their consumer needs are or what they're buying, but more culturally what it is they're interested in and what they care about. Because I'd say when we were casting for Muddy Buddy and we were looking at crew and things like that, a conversation that came up was, it's not just, and this is a bigger conversation about diversity, but Gen Z don't really care about who's on screen. They also, they can Google, they want to know who's in the team, who's creating these projects, because I think something like diversity is a much bigger demand for people in that age group, but also people who exist online a lot more, because there's just so much more information. So I think it's just thinking of different ways to cut through, because there's so much out there. It's very saturated. So it's about trying to find a way to break through a bit. And I think it's about brands maybe taking bigger risks, and directors, just everyone in the process taking bigger risks. And I think that comes with us trusting each other to make the best possible thing, and just hoping that it'll work out. But I think it's always worth taking the risk, even if it doesn't, for the process that comes about from it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing this time with us. Congratulations again. And
Thank you so
all the
much.
best for all your future projects. We hope to see much more coming out.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me and for curating all those questions. It was nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.